Good morning, everyone. Today we are presenting upon the life of Claudette Colvin. I am Abby, and my fellow presenters today are Sophie and Gabby. Claudette Colvin was born on September 5th, 1939, in Montgomery, Alabama. She is still alive and is currently 79 years old. When she was a teen, she attended Booker T. Washington High School, where she worked very hard and even aspired to be president one day. Because her family was of lower income, she heavily relied upon public transportation like the bus system to get to school. Our first guiding question is, what leader comes to mind when you think of the civil rights bus demonstrations? On March 2nd, 1955, Claudette Colvin sparked the fire to resolve the issue of segregation on public buses when she refused to give up her seat to a group of white passengers, declaring that she had paid her bus fare, and so it was her constitutional right to sit in that seat. Her demonstration took place 9 months before Rosa Parks' famous refusal. However, she was arrested on the allegations that she was disturbing the peace, breaking segregation laws, and for assaulting the officers who arrested her. On the bottom left of the slide, there is a quote from Colvin reflecting back on that day, and it reads, "As a teenager, I kept thinking, why don't the adults around here just say something? Say it so that they know we don't accept segregation. I knew then, and I know now, that when it comes to justice, there is no easy way to get it. You can't sugarcoat it. You have to take a stand and say, this is not right, and I did." So I'm sure you're thinking to yourselves, what would motivate and prompt a 15-year-old to defy the law at such a young age without the support of her peers? It had just been Black History Month, where in school they had been studying leaders like Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth, and they had discussed the injustices that they had historically experienced, which inspired her to stand up for the injustices that they currently faced. And so Colvin describes that in that moment, when she was asked to vacate her seat, it felt like Sojourner Truth was on one side pushing me down, and Harriet Tubman was on the other side of me pushing me down. I couldn't get up.
Go ahead and pause the video and discuss why you think Rosa Parks' case was more widely known despite both women being arrested for similar reasons. So, a big part of why Rosa Parks' case turned into a demonstration revolved around her appearance, and not just physical appearance. To most, Claudette wasn't the right look or icon for the demonstrations, and this is because Colvin was young and pregnant, although rumors of when she was pregnant could be debated. Some people believe it happened before she was arrested, and some people believe she was pregnant after she was arrested. Another reason why she wasn't chosen to represent the demonstrations revolved around her age. Claudette was around 15 years old when she was arrested, so she's thought of to be rebellious and unreliable. So, moving on, the reason Rosa Parks was chosen to represent the demonstrations was because she's thought of to be the better icon. She worked in the NAACP as a secretary, and she was an adult, and she fit the profile of a typical middle-class African-American woman of the time. So, although the bus boycott didn't revolve around Claudette Colvin, she did help to inspire the creation of the movement. So the bus boycott was a civil rights movement in Montgomery, Alabama, because of Rosa Parks and Claudette Colvin's refusal, and because they broke segregation laws. African Americans boycotted the city buses, and the whole purpose was to end Black segregated seating. The man who led the protest was known as Martin Luther King Jr., and because of this movement, segregated seating was questioned, and in 1956, the Supreme Court decided that segregated seating was going against the Constitution because of Claudette's impression on African Americans. African Americans gained the right to be able to sit anywhere within public transportation.
So my question for you is, why did the bus boycott continue after Colvin's case was resolved? I'll be moving on to the Browder v. Gale case. This went to court on February 1st, 1956. Colvin was a plaintiff in the case along with 3 other women. However, originally it was 5 women. The plaintiffs were Aurelia Browder, Susie McDonald, Claudette Colvin, Mary Louise Smith, and Janetta Reese. However, Reese dropped out of the case due to outside pressure before it could even go to court. So it was just these 4 women. They were represented by Fred Gray, Thurgood Marshall, and other NAACP attorneys. The defendants in this case were Mayor William Gale, the Chief of Police, the Montgomery Board of Commissions, Montgomery City Lines Incorporated, the Alabama Public Service Committee, and 2 bus drivers. So this case, of course, challenged the requirement of segregation on the Alabama and Montgomery buses, but it ruled 2-1 that segregation on the buses was unconstitutional. However, even with this ruling, Dr. King actually wanted the Montgomery bus boycotts to continue until the actual implementation of the ruling. However, this implementation would not come until later in the year, December 20th of 1956. Okay, so finally, going on to the significance to the civil rights movement. Although Colvin's demonstration did not directly cause immediate action like Parks's did, she helped in accelerating the civil rights movement within the city. So she didn't garner as much attention as Parks, clearly. And however, because she was first, she was a stepping stone to building up to Rosa Parks and the impact that she would have. So without Colvin and her being arrested, without her going to trial, Rosa Parks would not have been able to have all the public support that she did. Colvin started to build the frustrations of the public, which led to people gaining the moral courage that they used to support Parks and her efforts in civil rights. So that was our presentation on Claudette Colvin, and here's our works cited. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope you learned something.